And hello everyone, and today we will talk about Git and GitHub. All this relates to source control, and I got not just a good idea there because it seems like everybody has had that sinking experience when they realize that they have deleted their source code and there is no backup. So, we're talking about version control. Not only is it important to know where your source code is and have a copy of it and be able to get at it, but sometimes you have to back it up in the sense of having another copy of it. And this is a case where an off-site backup is good. That way, if you lose your entire server room, you still don't lose your code. Sometimes you got to back up in the sense of back up 3 spaces because you need to undo some changes that you did. And sometimes you need to determine when you changed what and why. Version control does all that. There are various softwares that do that. Git is one of the most common because the price is right. It's free. Now, version control is important in this course because it's how I review your code to assign you a grade. It's also important in the workplace because if you are not working by yourself, if you're working as a team, which is the most common way to work these days because applications have got to the point where one person can't handle it all, you need some way of cycling and routing your code through to get it approved and get it on the server. Okay, in this course we will use Git and GitHub. Git will be your local source control and GitHub will be where you push it to so I can see it, so I can grade it. I would encourage you to learn the basics of this Git because you will not only be using it in this course for every assignment, you will also, there's quite likely that you'll be using it sometime in your career afterwards. We have a lab assignment on Git and GitHub, that's Lab 01, and we'll have a separate discussion on that. Okay, this is the instructions on installing Git. I'll be going through these again in the lab, so I'm not going to dwell on them. And here's some basic Git commands. And let's see why I've got this hyperlinked. Okay, this is a cartoon from a place called XKCD, which has some really hilarious cartoons about computers. And it talks about Git, and it talks about what it's supposed to do, and it talks about what it does if you do not understand it. Now, unfortunately, this was very much our experience with Git, that we would just set it up, and then when it didn't work, we just delete everything and start all over again. You don't want to do that. That's why you have that list of the basic commands, and I would encourage you to use those in this course to get familiar with them. Okay, there's Git and there's GitHub. GitHub is a company and it's a website, and it's a place for your stuff, to quote George Carlin, and that's a monologue of his that you can probably Google and you can probably come up with it. It's pretty amusing. Okay, and this GitHub site comes packed with vitamins. We will just be using it so that I can review your code for your grade. Okay, some more instructions on this. We'll also go through this in the lab. What happens with a fork, it's like you took a fork and you took something out of a serving bowl. What you would be doing is you would copy this repository and then you'd clone it down onto your computer. So you'd have a copy of it up on GitHub and you'd have a copy on your computer. And as you work on your assignment, you push your changes to your local copy. Then when you're done, you push it up to your copy on GitHub, and at that point in time I could see it. Okay, here's some Git commands to work with remote repositories. You'll have plenty of experience with that. Here's some Git resources. This is courtesy of Dr. Sessions. When I was working through these exercises, these sites would come up some of the time, and some of the times I'd use other sites. When you're an IT person, Google's your friend. And we have everybody's favorite slide at this point.